It's ice cream week and all the recipes are inspired by my favorite breakfast items. Today's is a delicious frozen yogurt, kind of like a yogurt parfait at breakfast, but it is topped with a sour cherry jam. And let me tell you something, these are home-picked cherries, but you can use frozen or bought-in cherries, that's no problem. It's a quick jam made on the stove, a bright flavor topped on this frozen yogurt. You're not gonna wanna have a normal fruit and yogurt parfait ever again. To start, you wanna pour together your milk, cream, corn syrup, sugar, and salt. Place it on the stove and whisk it all together just to moisten all the sugar and then bring it up to a boil. While it's starting to warm, you can mix together your milk and cornstarch. This is the slurry that's gonna thicken this whole thing because, as I always mention, there are no eggs. It's even better, thicker, creamier, delicious. Whisk together the milk and cornstarch until it is completely smooth and there are no lumps, and then just set it right by the stove. Once the milk mixture comes to a boil, let it boil for a couple minutes. I know this sounds counterintuitive. It is not gonna curdle, it's not gonna break. You're just driving off some of that extra water. After it is boiled, remove it from the burner and slowly whisk in your cornstarch slurry. Keep whisking to make sure there are no lumps anymore, and then put it back on the heat until the whole mixture is bubbling. That is gonna make sure all that cornstarch is activated. This only takes a few seconds, so stay right there and whisk. Once it is bubbled, just remove it from the heat completely. Add in some vanilla extract and Greek yogurt. It is important to use the Greek yogurt because it is strained and has all the extra liquid. If you use plain yogurt, it would be way too watery, make the ice cream really hard. Whisk the mixture together until it is completely smooth. That yogurt can seem kind of chunky at first, but the warm mixture is really gonna smooth everything out. On a lot of my recipes, I usually strain them to make sure there's no lumps or anything, but this one is so thick, it doesn't really go through a strainer, but believe me, that's gonna make a delicious ice cream. Pour it right into the container you're gonna chill it in. Let it come down to room temperature somewhat because you don't wanna put anything that hot right into your fridge. All my ice creams, I like to make the day before so they are very well chilled. That way, your ice cream maker can actually freeze the ice cream. Otherwise, it would be way too warm for any of the countertop freezers and just kind of melt them. Put the lid on and then chill it. While the ice cream base is chilling, you can make your cherry sauce. This is really simple and pretty much just a jam. If you are getting fresh cherries, make sure to pit your cherries because, well, you're gonna have no teeth left if you don't. You can also use frozen, ready-to-go cherries. I like to use sour ones because they really have a great punch and a delicious flavor. In a kettle, add your pitted cherries, sugar, and lemon juice. See, I told you this was easy. Place it on the stove and let it come to a rolling boil. That means you cannot stir down that boil and it just keeps boiling. Turn it down and let it keep cooking in a low simmer until it is thickened and the cherries start to burst. After they've bursted, you can kind of see that they're all opened up and kind of looking soft. You can just take a small masher, like a potato masher, and just kind of rough them up just to really make sure they're dissolving. Remove it from the stove and then put it into a small bowl. You can make this the day before or about 2 hours before because it needs to be back down to room temperature or chilled. Now that the ice cream base is chilled, the sour cherry sauce is made, we can quick churn the ice cream. Follow the instructions on your maker because each one can be a little bit different. As you can see, this ice cream base is extremely thick, which makes for the best ice cream. Put in the paddle and then churn it until it is finished. With this thick of an ice cream, it goes pretty fast. Once it is completed, you can just remove it from the maker, take that paddle off, clean it off, and then you can start layering it with your cherry sauce. I like to layer them, that way when you scoop them out, you get delicious ribbons and pockets of the sauce mixed with the ice cream. Like, it's the best way to do it. A little bit of ice cream, a little bit of sauce, a little bit for you. I always like to taste it as I go just to make sure it's all good, each layer. Once you're finished, pop that lid on and let it freeze for an additional 4 to 6 hours. I know you're saying, wait, I just froze it already in the maker. Yeah, at this point, it's still pretty soft. Any maker usually needs it to freeze an additional amount of time in the freezer. But don't worry, it's not gonna become too hard. It's always delicious and soft. After 4 to 6 hours, serve it up and enjoy it. Usually these just kind of stay in my freezer and I just kept eating spoonful after spoonful. But since this is a delicious frozen yogurt, you can have it for breakfast. I approve. Just put it into a nice container and pretend it's your yogurt, because it is. If you want your next fruit and yogurt parfait to be a frozen yogurt, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and for the recipe, click on the link in the description box. Make sure to check back tomorrow for another awesome ice cream recipe.